I thought having a sister who was evil, manipulative, toxic was enough. But then I realized my husband's the same way, so I quickly turned him to my ex-husband. But then, months later, I learned a secret, something that they've been doing behind my back, and if you thought they were cheating, you weren't exactly right. There's way more to this story. So sit back and relax, let's jump into today's toxic story. Hey guys, what's up? Okay, genuinely, I don't know how to start this. I was going to greet it and pretend that life's good, and it's just a little chit-chat I want to do with you guys. But that's not it. My life's been kinda crazy these days, and mostly I blame it on my dysfunctional family. I mean, there's not one day where I can sit and actually think that my family's normal. Every single person has something that they're going through, or something that they did that made them very obviously weird, creepy, or just, not pleasant. But there were two people in my life that really sucked the joy out of life because of the stupid crap that they did. It's not even the stupidity that they had, it's the fact that their stupid situations and habits put other people in danger and make their lives miserable as well. Besides, they basically planned to ruin my life together. It was very intense. The first character of my life that I'm going to introduce, it's going to be my idiotic sister. So, we lived in this really small and quiet town. You know, the type where everyone knows everyone else's business, and we didn't know that our picture-perfect family that the entire town knew about would be thrown into this chaotic life of addiction because of my sister. It started with these very weird but subtle changes in my sister, Lisa. She used to be the life of the party. Everywhere she'd go, she would make jokes that everyone would laugh at. She would make everyone feel at home instantly, and she would just, be that really happy, sunshiny person that everybody needs in their life. But then slowly she started to change. Change into this person that was not capable of social interaction. She started to not show up to family dinners. She would even lock herself in a room, or she would like to, sneak out of the house a lot to the point where we would find her using the map, and she'd be in these shady, very weird places that did not seem safe at all. The good thing about my relationship with her was that I was not that close to her. Even when she was all happy and sunshine, it got worse when she started getting into drugs and doing all sorts of things that made my parents super stressed out. Obviously, it's not like I completely hated her. I still tried to help her as much as I could, more so because I knew that it was causing my parents a lot of stress. However, we are both grown adults. I'm 38, my sister's 35. She's still on drugs, and she even deals them now. Like, she sells it to other people. But because I was never close to her, I'm largely unaffected by everything that she does. She still lives with my parents, though, and it is a small town. My parents are pretty stressed out about the entire situation, because the whole town basically knows that she's a drug addict. Now, let's move on to the other character of my life that's basically ruined every single interaction for me. So, I'm going to tell you guys about my ex-husband, who went from being the dreamiest of hunkiest boyfriends to the biggest nightmare marriage ever. He was the kind of guy who brought flowers, laughed at my terrible jokes, and made me feel like I was the center of the universe. We were the power couple of the college, and all of our friends thought so too. Because he was such a good boyfriend, I thought that he would have been a good husband as well. I guess that was my first mistake, but not really, because he was actually, a good boyfriend. You can't expect him to think that he was going to turn this into a manipulation of some sort after we got married, when he was such a sweet boyfriend before. Things started to get, a bit too real when we got married. Do you know that feeling when someone is all in during the dating phase, but as soon as the marriage label gets pulled out, they do a quick U-turn? Well, he was exactly like that. The flowers turned into half-hearted apologies and excuses, and every time I would tell him to go on a date with me, or heck, even hang out with me at all, he would tell me that he had work to do, but honestly, it felt like he was working more on avoiding me than anything productive. The worst thing about it was that the distance was not just emotional, but it was physical as well. I swear it felt like we were roommates sharing a space rather than a married couple sharing a lifetime together. We never had any intimate moments anymore, and he would always be super reserved during them, even when we had them, so there was no use in me initiating it either. We had an attempt to address this issue with the counselor, and they just felt like a joke because he just sat there with his arms crossed as if he was waiting for the therapist to magically snap her fingers and fix it. The worst part about this entire situation was that he got into drugs as well. That's why we decided to get a divorce in the first place. I could not deal with another person using and ruining their life and everyone else's life around them. I know his actions would eventually just come back crawling to me, and I would have to face the consequences, and I was not ready to do all that, guys. Anyways, enough about my introduction for everyone. Now I'm going to tell you why I even posted this and what exactly they did that ruined my life. Never in my life that I think my ex-husband and sister would join hands to make sure that I was miserable. They were selfish human beings who only cared about them being happy and nobody else. What happened was, a week ago I was working from home and I got a call from my mother, who told me that Lisa just got arrested. Now, I wasn't that shocked because she did some very vile things before, even when I was living with them, and I knew, at some point she was going to get herself arrested in the slammer. But the way that my mother's voice was shaking when she was telling me was enough to get me anxious as well. Anxiety shooting through the roof. I mean, I may not be close with Lisa, but I love my mother with everything that I have. Apparently, Lisa got herself arrested because of a major drug-related issue. I think it's because she got caught handling drugs when she was driving or something like that, and obviously that was enough to put her behind bars. I knew that she was stupid, but I did not know that she was stupid enough to be driving while doing drugs. My mom told me that the bill was really expensive and that Lisa did not have the money to pay for her, so she was constantly begging my mom to pay for it, but Mom did not have the kind of money as well. That's why she was calling me, because she wanted my help in getting Lisa out, and I told my mom that I wanted nothing to do with this and that Lisa was barely my sister. So I did not want to spend so much money on bailing her out of jail for something that she did without thinking of the consequences at all. My mom insisted that I do something to help her, because Lisa was constantly calling her and she felt guilty enough, not being able to help, so I suggested that I would go talk to Lisa herself to find out what I could possibly do, but I was not going to pay the money without letting her know how disappointed I was, or even seeing the fact that she really actually regretted what she did. When I went to see Lisa, things were a little out of hand. I expected her to be in tears, or something like that, and actually regret what she did because she did not want to be in jail when she realized that what she did was wrong. Nothing. There was nothing like that. Lisa was actually in a pretty good mood, yeah. When I went, it was like she knew that something was going to help her and get her out, and that she would not be stuck behind bars for a long time. That's what made me really angry, the fact that she did not understand that consequences of her actions, and why she's even stuck in here in the first place, and she's so stuck in her head that she didn't realize how hard this was for everybody around her. It was actually ridiculous on her part. When I initially went there, I had half a heart to actually pay for her bail because she was blood related to me, but seeing her act this way, so nonchalant about everything, brought up flame of anger in me that I just could not press down. I told her that I was not going to pay her bail, and that she could suffer in jail until she realized the consequences of her actions, and actually understand how badly drugs were affecting her life. As soon as I mentioned her drug problem, her eyes got really wide. And initially, I even got a bit scared of her, because of how she was acting and how her eyes were so frantic. Because of that, her aggression rose up and she started screaming insults at me and telling me how much of a terrible person I was and how nobody cared about me and I was useless and all sorts of stuff. I would have been hurt if it were coming from someone else, but knowing that my sister was a literal drug addict was saying these things to me, the words just bounced off. I knew I needed to get her somehow, but I told her that I would not be paying for her bill until she truly figured out what turns her life was taking because of her addiction. That's when the real aggression showed up, because she told me that I had no right to keep her in jail because I'm trying to be the moral queen, or whatever word she used. I forgot exactly what she called me, but she called me something along those lines, and guys, it just irked me. I can't explain it to you guys, honestly, it just felt weird. Obviously, I had a right to keep her there because her coming or staying depends on my money. I would not want to waste my money on her if she would just end up doing the same thing again. I needed to know that she had a brain cell big enough to understand everything that was happening. Anyways, she gets so mad that she told me something that literally made my world stop for a moment. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like the walls were closing in on me. She told me that she dated my husband while I was married to him. At first, I did not believe her. I didn't want to believe her because she was deranged and on drugs. Of course, her mind wasn't working, but then she started telling me all the things that they did together, all the things that she did for him, and all the things that he did for her. My heart stopped. None of these things were something that my ex-husband did for me, but he did it for Lisa? If she was telling the truth, of course, I don't want to believe it. It was very hard to do that because she kept on going into details about the dates that she would go on and what she liked about him. The thing that she noticed about him were exactly the things that I noticed about him, and it was eerily similar. There was no way that she would have known all of this if she was actually not spending time with him. So, I ran out of there. I didn't want to see her face anymore, and I didn't want to see someone who betrayed me not only by ruining my peace and my family, but also by stealing my husband. I went home, I shut the door, and my tears slipped out without my permission. I didn't know how to stop that because I was so overwhelmed with everything that was happening. And then all of a sudden, the fact that my ex-husband Liam was unfaithful to me just sprung up, and I didn't know how to handle it. For the next few days, I was just sad and trying to get over the fact that Liam cheated on me, because he was not in my life, so obviously there was no reason for me to be stuck on the fact that he wasn't faithful. It didn't make sense. But life had other plans for me, other games to be played with me, so that I could never be at peace. A few days ago, Liam showed up at the house. He seemed to be just as frantic as Lisa was when I saw her in jail. He kept knocking at the door, and when I peeped to see who it was, I did not want to open the door. If it were another time, maybe I would have opened it. However, his knocking would not stop, and I was forced to open the door when he started screaming at me to open it. Apparently, he came looking for me because he needed $100,000 in cash, and he thought that I would have it. Regardless of whatever I had or did not have, I would not have given him that kind of money when I didn't even know what he was using it for. When I asked him what he needed, he told me that it was none of my business and that I should not care about it, but I should just know that it was really, really important, and it would, be kind to save his life. I didn't trust him, so I took that with a grain of salt and told him that I did not have the money. As expected, he gets really angry at this, and, I asked him about Lisa and what his situation was with her, and even though it was dumb of me, I had this little glimmer of hope that he would deny it and tell me that Lisa was just trying to make me angry and rile me up. Well, that didn't happen. Instead, he just agreed with Lisa and told me that I was not fulfilling what he wanted, and so he had to seek it out somewhere else. That sentence, just that one tiny sentence, broke me. What Lisa did and what Lisa said that she did caused a crack in my heart, but Liam confirming that the cheating was real, it shattered my heart completely. I told him to get out of my house, and I did not know where the strength came from, but I managed to push him out even when he was protesting. He told me that he was going to come back for the money because he knew that I'd give up, but I wasn't going to. Not this time. It's been 2 days since then, and not one moment has even passed where I felt peace and I felt calm. I keep fearing that he's going to come back for money. I'm grieving a relationship that's already over. And on top of that, guys, my mom keeps calling me to talk about Lisa and make her shut up somehow. Update number 1. So he came back. I mean, of course he did. He was always like this. He didn't care about what other things were doing and what everything was going on. He just wanted his problems, his plans, and his situation to resolve smoothly without any interruptions at all. So, when he came back the second time, I knew that I had to tell him that I could not help him. So I did what I had to do. And you know what? He would not listen to me. I think I know what caused this behavior, though. His request for money started very innocently a few months ago, and I had already resolved it back then. It was a sob story about unpaid bills or some sort of a medical emergency or something like that. It only happened twice, but he asked me for like a very small amount of money so he could just keep going with genuine things. At first I considered it because we had a shared life, and I wanted to believe that there was a shred of decency and regret left in him, and that he wanted to change for the better. So, I threw him his lifeline, which was basically a small amount to cover whatever he claimed he needed to cover. After that, for a good few months, I didn't even hear from him at all, so I thought that he would have gotten better and his drug issue was gone. So that meant that he was finally getting his life together. I mean, he wasn't coming to ask me for money, so obviously that's what I would assume. But now suddenly he's back and the request has turned into a demand because when he returned 2 days ago, he didn't ask me if he could have the $100,000. No, he told me that I need to give it to him or he would make me regret every single thing I've ever done. I mean, obviously I refuse because I'm not made of money, so I sure as hell wasn't going to finance his very questionable lifestyle, because why do you need $100,000 for something that you won't even tell me about? Yeah, right. Secondly, he had no right to ask me for all of this after he confirmed that he was betraying me the entire time. I mean, how shameless do you have to be to go to that length? And thirdly, we were already over with our marriage, so he literally had no right to demand any money from me now. That's when he turned really nasty. He not just used rejection, you see, he doesn't know how to handle it. So when I told him I wasn't going to help him in any shape or form, a cruel snark took place on his face and he looked at me with such anger and disgust that I had to stop myself from taking a step back. He started threatening me about the situation and told me that he would report me to the police because I did not give him any money when we got a divorce, even though I earned more than him. He said that he was going to milk so much money out of me through legal processes, and I would be left standing without a penny, begging him to help me stand back on my feet. At first, I got really scared because going to the police is a big deal. I didn't want to be sued or sent to court or jail. You see, I've kind of always been a goody two-shoes, so these sort of things make me really scared. I was about to agree to his threat and give him the money that he was asking for until I remembered that he no longer had any leverage on me. I had proof of him abusing drugs while we were married, which is a very big reason why it wasn't safe for me to provide for him anymore. Secondly, I also had proof of my sending him money a few times. I had the bank receipt so he would not be able to do anything to me even if he took it to the police, so I told him to do it. The shock on his face was laughable. He clearly did not expect me to say that because he actually stuttered when he told me to not act confident because he would ruin my life without me even knowing that it was coming. Anyways, I'm just waiting for him to do something about it so I can make it backfire on him and make him realize that he has no control over me anymore. Update number 2. Hey guys, it's me. I'm back with another update. So he did return, but he did not return to report me to the police. I think my confidence scared him enough for him to think and realize that he wasn't going to win the case with a stupid excuse that he was going to come up with, which is why he disregarded that altogether. Now, I know what you're thinking, that I should be grateful he did that because there's less stuff for me to worry about. But the issue is that he did something that was way, way worse. And honestly, I would rather prefer the police coming to my place and telling me that I did not pay him enough than to go through what he did. Basically, what happened was, after the entire fiasco about him being angry and threatening to report me to the police, I was trying to get my life back together because I desperately needed something to keep my eye on track, or I was going to go insane. The past few days have been really tiring, so I took a few days off of work, but because I really needed to set my mind straight, I decided to go to the office again. The day was going really nice, and I actually felt like my life was going back to how it was, which is why I was excited to go back home and finally felt myself relax again. However, relaxation was the last thing on my mind when I reached home. The state of my cupboard was horrendous, if I'm being honest. It wasn't messy or anything, but there was $10,000 missing from my drawer. Let me tell you how I figured it out. Basically, when I reached home and went to my room, I looked at my cupboard and saw that the key was hanging from the keyhole. Now, that might not seem like a big deal to you guys, but I never let my keys hang to my keyhole. So I've always been super paranoid about someone stealing my money because I like to keep some emergency cash at home. So I keep it in my cupboard drawer. I know it's a lot of money, which is why I always lock it when I leave the house, and I keep the keys in the drawer. The only person who knows the whereabouts of the keys are Liam and my mom. The only reason that Liam knows about the whereabouts is that I put it in the same spot as I did when we used to live together. And I did not think too much to change the spot because I didn't know that he was going to steal so much money from me. As soon as I saw the key hanging from the cupboard, I instantly dropped my bag and rushed to open up the door, only to find an empty drawer, not even $1 left inside of there. Obviously, I knew that it was Liam, because he knew where I put the key and needed that amount of money. So I called him, and of course, he did not even answer the phone. I don't know what I was expecting when I called him, because it was obvious that he wasn't going to pick up when he stole such a huge amount of money from me. I was going to bombard him with text and calls, but guys, I just realized that I should not let him know that I was on to him. So I did not do any of that. Instead, I decided that I was just going to show up to his house. So that's exactly what I did. I was going to go there and tell him that if he did not return the money to me, I would be the one doing the reporting this time. However, things did not happen as smoothly as I expected them to. Liam did not even accept the fact that he stole money from me. He kept repeating things like how I was only blaming him because I was scared that he was going to report me to the police and stuff. But I did not give up. I kept on pestering him and telling him that I would go to the police, until he started laughing. He suddenly just starts laughing, and I was just staring at him like, what the heck are you laughing at? Turned out that he was laughing because he thought that I could not do crap about it. I didn't have any proof, and he said that he would just use that to his advantage. All I could do at the moment was leave, so I would not have to deal with an emotional breakdown right there in front of him. Update number 3. Liam's in jail. Thanks to me, but let me tell you how I managed to do it. So basically what happened was the police were already investigating my sister, right? Apparently my sister blabbed and told them that Liam had done drugs with her and that he was involved as well. I figured that if she knew that she was going to go down, she didn't want to go down alone, which is why she took Liam with her. After that, the police did a thorough investigation of Liam and found drugs at his home. So they took him for inspection and then put him inside a jail cell as well. Initially, he was going to get himself bailed out because obviously he stole a lot of money from me, so he had the money to bail himself out. But then I showed them that Liam actually stole from me. What Liam did not know was that I've installed Ring cameras inside my house, and they recorded every single thing that happened. I had one in my living room. I had one in my bedroom. I even had one in the front yard because there's no place that I was not monitoring. After Liam told me that I could not do anything about it, I got angry at that. But then I just remembered that the Ring probably recorded everything. So, I took out the footage of Liam entering my room and leaving with a big bag and showed it to the police. When I went to the police station with the footage, they told me that they were just investigating Liam because he was using drugs, and this just added on top of it, so his sentence was going to be much longer than it would have been with just the drugs. I went to visit him, and there's just one thing that's bothering me. I wanted him to know that I was gloating about his arrest. Of course, he was super angry with me and called me a lot of slurs that I won't repeat here. But the satisfaction of knowing that he could not do anything was amazing. Yeah, there's one thing that was bothering me though. When I was leaving, Liam mentioned that I would not be walking away with a solicitor because he had some very high-up powerful lawyer who owed him a big favor. Knowing how Liam was, I'm pretty sure he wasn't lying because he does have a lot of contacts. And I know that even if everything is against him, well, he could still turn on me, guys. Update number 4. Oh my gosh, okay, so hopefully this is the last update because everything else was so chaotic, but I think I'm finally done with it now. Liam actually did fight back, and he did have a very high-profile lawyer who owed him favors, so he was able to escalate the legal battle. He took me to court and attacked me on the basis of me being a terrible partner to him, and not taking him seriously because I earned more than he did, which apparently resulted in my abusing him verbally. He tried to discredit everything and even made up these fake recordings of me where I was threatening him and abusing him, and he played them in court. You guys know how dangerous artificial intelligence is these days, right? Well, Liam actually used an AI software to make these recordings. They duped my voice, and even though I knew that this wasn't me talking, I was still a bit spooked about how accurate it sounded because it sounded just like me. However, my lawyer wasn't less than high profile either. He had some people dig out the audio, and technicians or people who work in the field actually managed to find out the truth. Thankfully, those audio recordings were discredited and his sentence was increased by a huge amount of years, no matter how hard he and his lawyer tried to fight back. Another thing that worked in my favor was that while doing my own investigation on him, I found out that he not only did drugs, he sold them as well a numerous amount of times. All I had to do was offer to give my sister some money, and she blurts out the entire story about how Liam sold drugs when they were dating and still does. He sold drugs to a lot of other people, and my sister was the witness to them all. This was enough for me to take my revenge on both of them because I sent my sister straight to rehab after that, and Liam's in jail, rotting his life away. I haven't gone to visit him, and I won't ever do that because I had my moment. When he was being taken away by the officers, I made sure to smile in glee at him when he turned to look at me. The anger rising inside him was so satisfying, but what's more satisfying is that I no longer have to worry about either of them coming back and ruining my peaceful life. Honestly, guys, this was just a classic story of karma. I want to know your thoughts about Liam. I want to know your thoughts about what you would have done and how you would have handled the fact that your sister was doing all these horrible things, toxic stuff behind your back. This one was truly a double stab in the back of betrayal. But like I said, karma struck at the end of the day. Either way, I would like to know how you guys would have handled it, or maybe you've been in a similar situation as OP. Let's talk about it down below in the comment section. My name's Mr. Redditel. I narrate stories like this every day. If you guys are interested in more daily stories, just like today with different type of dramas being inheritance, sister-in-laws, mother-in-laws, HOA disputes, I mean, we really cover a lot. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.